Hey everyone, it's Foxx from Model Making Guru here, and welcome back to part 7 of our build of the 1/60th scale, no grade, Strike Gundam. I need to take a swig of my coffee. Oh, it's better. Essential tool for all model making. Right, as you'll have seen in part 6, kind of goofed. Started doing the paint chipping on one of the feet and then realised, wait a minute, I haven't done the decals yet. So I've gloss varnished everything apart from the inner frame parts, which I can't gloss varnish. That's now dried, and it's time to do the markings, the decals. Gunpla builders will know them as markings or seals, depending on where you come from. A lot of Asian countries will call them markings or seals. Now, what I'm going to do in this episode, I'll probably do it as a standalone decal episode. I'm going to assume that you've never built anything before. Like a lot of my videos, I know this may be the 25th build of mine you've watched, and you know exactly what I'm about to do. But I'll do this for the absolute beginner, because it's always good to just assume that the person watching this is the first time they've watched one of my videos, the first time they've ever, looked at water slides. Maybe they've searched for how do I do water slides. So let's assume you don't know how to do water slides or what they are. Now, most model kits in the world come with Waterslide decals, stickers and markings that are applied by using water, sliding the decal onto the model, patting it down, and you're done. Gunpla are a bit different. The majority of Gunpla come with stickers. They come with dry rub stickers where you put it flat and rub it on. They come with adhesive stickers where you peel it off and stick it on, and it's usually like a clear base with the marking on it. Or they come with foil stickers, which are the shiny ones where it's just the sticker itself is just the design that you pull off and then stick on. There's no clear film around them. Throw all of those, well, I was going to say throw all of them away. Some foil stickers can be quite good. I use them for the eyes on this. Some foil stickers can be good. Dry rubs can be fine sometimes as long as it's on a flat surface. And they look the best out of all of the options. But stickers for things like markings, like little caution markings and warning symbols, forget it. If you're going to be painting your model, you don't want to ruin all that hard work with stickers because they're basically crap. They have this big thick film that will never go onto the surface properly, so it'll look frosty. It'll pick up weathering as you're doing like gunk washes or any kind of washes, anything like that. It'll just pick up stuff around the edge and you have a big mark around the edge. Just don't bother. Don't bother with stickers. It's time for you to move up to water slides. Now, not many kits, as I say, come with water slides. Not many Gunpla kits. Some of the master grades do. Some of the most of the version cars do. Not all of them. I'm looking at you, master grade full armor unicorn version car. God damn it with the stickers. All of them, millions of them. But Bandai do their own water slide sets for markings for some kits. Now, the problem with those is they only do about 150, 170 or 80 kits worth of markings. And they're just the water slide versions of the markings that come with the kit. They only do a certain number of them, and they only release them every now and then. They do them in batches. So you can find loads all of a sudden, then a month later gone. And it could be that way for a year. The only place you'll find them is on eBay or Amazon, and they'll be like twice the price because everybody knows they're out of print. They are by far the best, and in fact, they're some of the best decals, waterslide decals I've ever seen from Bandai. But they're really hard to get hold of. So if you can get some official Bandai ones for the kit you're building, brilliant. If you can't, you're going to have to go third party. Now, this kit doesn't come with any markings apart from the eyes, the cameras, and the little triangle on the back, and they're all foil stickers. It has no markings at all. It's a cheap no grade. So I've had to order these, which are water slides for the perfect grade Strike Gundam. It's basically the same thing. I'm hoping these fit, because this is 1/60th scale, this kit is 1/60th. It's not exactly the same. It might not work, but we'll see. So I've ordered these either third party. So if you can't find the Bandai ones, you're looking at third parties. There's a load of different companies that make them. These are from Easy Decal. There's a company called HiQ Parts. But one of the best known resources for water slide markings for your Gunpla is a chap called Samuel Decal at old.samueldecal.com. I think the web address is here, so I'll get it right. He basically carries water slides for pretty much most kits. They'll either be a mixture of third-party ones that he's got in stock or ones that he's actually made himself, and they're generally the sticker markings from the kit made into water slides, and he usually offers them in 3 scales. He'll offer them 1/60th version, 1/100th version, and 1/144th scale. Some of them he'll even do in other scales. I did get him to send me a set of water slides, I think in 1/48 scale, which were 1/60 scale. He just rescaled them for me. And he can also do custom designs. Probably the first place you want to check is Samuel Decal. His website's a bit old and clunky. You kind of have to know what series you're looking at. So if it's a Universal Century series or if it's a Seed series, you kind of go in that way and then find the kit you want. You mail him and tell him what you want, what size, what price. He'll then mail you back with an invoice. You pay him, he sends you the decals. And it's that happy moment a week later, because he's very fast, when you get a little paper envelope, little card envelope in the mail, and it's got a little piece of string tying the thing together. That's how you know it's a Samuel Decal shipment. But generally, the third-party ones, including Samuel's, are very, very good. They do come with some amusing spelling mistakes. It's going to have to be said. Obviously, the Bandai ones are spot on. They're not, the third-party ones aren't always just scans. They're sometimes just done from scratch. So sometimes you do get some kind of wording that's not quite right because the person doing them maybe doesn't have full understanding of English. And sometimes it's hilarious. It's just you have to see them. There's one on here and I can't remember where it is, but yeah, you have to see them. I love that. I'm quite happy to stick it. If it doesn't quite make sense in the wording, I'll stick it on the Gunpla anyway because it just makes it interesting and fun. And people will go, does that say such and such? Yeah. Oh, okay. Nothing rude. So yes, so pretty much third-party waterslide decals, unless you get lucky enough to find a Bandai one, are your best bet. So, what do you need to do waterslide decals? You need a knife. If I can pick it up, you need a knife. Your craft knife, just for cutting out. A brush you can use that for making a little pool of water and for moving the decal on the card if you want to. And I find a couple of pairs of tweezers ideal. Some people use a cocktail stick or a cotton bud, and this is for moving the decal off the carrier film when it's wet and then positioning it on the model. I find two tweezers easier because they can just push it gently and nudge it better than a cocktail stick. I usually tend to use these for gripping the paper, and this is just for general pushing and shoving. And some water. I have here a small container full of water. Warm water, doesn't matter if it's cold, if it goes cold, but warm's best, it works faster. And obviously your decals. Now I'm not just using those decals. For those of you watching this build, I actually have as well a whole shed load of, well those are dry rubs so I'm not going to use those, a whole shed load of just random, there's X decals, I forgot to mention them. X decals, it's another third party. These are generic symbols and stickers. These are very high quality and they're all individually pre-cut, so these are really good actually. Where are they from, does it say? X decal. Random markings, I've got loads of things from other things. I've got bits from, I think these are from the Unicorn, and this is from the Destiny or the Freedom. I've got all of these generic third party ones, lots of, you can't see them because they're white. Things from the Freedom, and just I've got bags and bags of bits of decals. Handy tip, when you're making models and you're collecting, you use all the decals, and if you always usually got a load of decals left, don't throw them away. Put them in a little bag like that, keep them to one side, especially for Gunpla where you've got loads of little markings, because they'll always come in handy. So I'm going to use the decals from here, and I'm going to use some of those little markings and warning signs just to pepper it around the mobile suit, just to make it look more functional and interesting, so it looks more like a version K than just having a few little markings on there. So this is pretty much everything you get in the perfect grade. The downside is, of course, this kit doesn't come with waterslide markings or any other markings, so it doesn't have a guide as to what to put where. The other downside is that there's only one place I can find an actual scan of the perfect grade kit marking guide, and that's at dalong.net, and it's really low quality and it's really quite old, so I'm having to use that. I'll show you, this is what I've got. So you can see it's not exactly great quality, so I'm having to wing it a little bit. The other downside, of course, is some of the markings on that instructions aren't even on here, aren't even relate to this. This big one here, sank, with it's you can see on this thing, it's designed with a split down the middle, Gressorial Armament Tactical Series. This is clearly for some kind of split, but I don't know where that will go on my kit or on the perfect grade because it's not on the perfect grade instructions. I know these go on the skirts, that goes on the shoulder. I don't know where that goes. Don't know if that goes on the shoulder, if there's a split somewhere. No idea. So some of it I'm going to have to just make up. So this is going to be completely made up. I'm just putting stuff where I think it looks cool. Anyway, let's crack on. So what we're going to do? Well, we're going to start with the back skirt. So let me go and get everything ready, and we'll start playing with his rear skirts. Okay, so first step is trimming your decal, cutting it from the sheet, getting it ready. Now, thing you need to know about third-party decals. If you buy the official Bandai ones, the way decals actually work is you have the piece of card, which is usually blue or yellow, and then over the top of that there is a clear carrier film, and then printed, I think it's printed on the film, is the actual marking itself. The idea is that when you cut your decal out, when you wet it, the film comes away from the card is thrown away, and the film with the marking on it is then slid onto the model and placed in place and patted down and dried out, and your marking is now on the model. On official decal sets that come with any kit, so Bandai, Revell, Airfix, anything like that, from the manufacturer of the model kit, each marking is individually pre-cut. What that means is there's just enough carrier film around the marking, but then it's not linked to any other marking. So this would have a little bit of carrier film around the edge of it. Obviously the carrier film will be over the whole marking, but then just be a little bit extra around the edge, and you just cut around it and take it out and deal with it. With third-party ones, it's not that simple. Sometimes they are all it's called pre-cut. Doesn't mean they're actually cut. It just means all the clear film is on there for you in the right place. With third-party ones, that's not always the case. You'll either find, like in the case of these ones, now I don't know if I'll be able to get the light to show this. Let's have a look. If I can see what I'm doing. If we can see here, there's three little markings here, and you think, oh, it's three separate decals. I can do all those three at the same time. You cut them out, put them in the bowl of water, and what you find is they'd all come off together, because if you can see here, the carrier film, it's contiguous. I love that word. I learned that word from Star Trek Next Generation. Contiguous between all three. So basically it's one blob of carrier film surrounding all three of those stickers. So if I took them off the backing sheet and soaked them and took them off, they'd all come off as one single decal. So I'm going to have to trim them so it's three separate decals. So this is sort of part pre-cut. The other option you might see sometimes you get it from some of the ones from Samuel Decal, is that the whole sheet is covered in carrier film and there's no pre-cutting at all. So every single decal, if you wet the whole sheet, this whole sheet would come off as one giant decal. So you have to trim and cut every single individual marking off one by one, and the carrier film around the edge will be as big as you cut it. So with those you have to try and cut really close to the edge and make the carrier film as small as possible. So before you start cutting anything, just check your sheet in the light like this and just see what you're dealing with. Before you think, oh, I can do all these three at the same time, just make sure they're not all linked together. If they're not, brilliant, then you can do multiple decals at the same time. If they are, you'll have to cut them and do them individually. So first step is cutting the decal from the carrier film. So what you will need is your knife of the cutting, and we're going to start. So I want to use one of these for the back skirt. Now if this was pre-cut like a Bandai sheet, again the carrier film would just go just around the edge of the bit I want to use, the actual marking itself, so you could just cut it straight out and not worry about it. Bandai ones are quite good. The clear carrier film doesn't go too far past the actual decal itself. And apologies, this is off to the side. Let me just move the water out of the way. Handy tip for you: never have your decals on the desk anywhere near your water. The number of times I've knocked my water bowl and then basically just soaked the whole sheet and they've been ruined. So always make sure your water supply for your dipping of the decals is as well away from where you're going to be cutting and working on the decal sheet. So we want this one. Let's take your knife. Now I can see on here, let's have a look at the film on this. I can see, I don't know if you can see it because of the light, but the film on here covers all this. So this is all one giant decal, which is no use to me at all. So I need to trim this out. Now it doesn't stick out too far. So what I need to do is basically, as close as I can, and doing this from a funny angle so you can see it, is separate this. Now, never trim your decals once they're wet. For example, you would never put this in get it wet, get it moving around on the card, and then trim it, because you'll just screw up the carrier film and it'll be horrible. Always do your trimming before you get these things wet. So I'm just going to take my knife and very gently cut the decal out. Try and cut as close as you can to the actual marking. Although one other thing as well, just because if you might have sweaty hands, just put your, if there's backing paper or you've got a piece of paper, put it down just to stop your hand making all these, because if you get these moist it might ruin the decal. So just keep your hand over a piece of paper. Yeah, the carrier film itself, it won't be invisible, it won't be horribly visible. Once you've put these on, patted them down and given a gloss coat, they'll look pretty good. But you might still see some film, so just try and cut as close as you can to the actual printed part. Go slowly, do it on camera, always a winner. Go slowly, because you don't want to cut through the actual printed part of the decal, and you'd want to make sure as well you're not printing through a different decal that may be above or below it, because that would suck. Now I'm going to move this round this way. Because I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to see this side of the blade where it's cutting. So I'm just going to go this way. Cut, oh, hang on, put the paper down and knock the camera. Cut whichever way is easiest for you, but if you can see where you're cutting, it's a lot easier. So just go slowly and cut your way through. Now I haven't cut every single corner joining up here, so I just need to go back and ping that corner and ping that corner, and then just cut off here. And we have almost our decal ready to go. So that's what we've got. That's now separated from all of the decals. Now again, depending on how specific you want to be, I could spend time going around and getting this really carrier film cut really close to the print, just as the minimal amount of carrier film showing around the edge, but that's fine. It, as I say, it's not going to be invisible, but once you've got weathering and top coats and things over the top, it's going to be fine. So we have our decal ready to roll. Now we just need our part, and we need to get it wet. So what's the next step? Okay, right, the next step is to get this puppy wet. So all you do is very gently take your decal in your tweezers. I'm not gripping it hard because I don't want to scratch the print. Take your decal. This is a little tray with some warm water in, and you're just going to dunk it in for a few seconds. Now if it's a long one and you put it in, it might curl up and go bleh, like that. It'll make that noise as well because it's brilliant. So if it is a long one, you can dunk it in this way. So you're going to dunk it and see how it curls. So just keep that in mind. If it was a long one, you dunked it in, it might stick up over the water, and that just gets complicated then. So if you need to, just put it in edge on, give it a second, and just flatten it down. Make sure all of it's underwater. Now different decals require different amounts of time, so you'll have to kind of play by ear. Some take 5 seconds, some take 30 seconds, some really horrible Italeri ones take like about a minute and a half. But just leave it, nothing's bad is going to happen to it. We're also going to need a piece of tissue, so have your tissue ready. So that's still doing. Now if you want to see if it's moving, take your brush and just gently try pushing it. Now I'm not sure how long these ones take. This is why you use your brush, just so you can see if it's going to move. If it's not moving, don't force it. It's still attached to the backing paper. I'm just pushing it gently, seeing if we've got any life in there. Oh, there we go, starting to move. So that's moving quite freely now, so take the brush away. Get our tweezers back. Get it out. And all I'm going to do is just place it on the water, and that gets rid of any excess moisture. So let's put this to one side, put that there. Now what I can do is get everything ready and move on to the next part, which is applying the decal. Right, so we have our decal here, it's moving around. Now there's a million different ways you can do this. You can use your finger if you want to. I'm going to use my finger on here because it's easy. What you want to do, this is now free of the backing paper so it slides around. You want to slide this off the backing paper. Now what you don't want to do is pull or push or yank it too much because it will rip the decal. What you do is you place it somewhere you want it to be. Put it down with your finger, or if it's too small, a cotton bud or a cocktail stick, and then all you do is pull the backing paper out from underneath. Do not pull the decal because you risk ripping the decal. So that's now on. Now if you've made the perfect grade stripe, you'll know this looks nothing like the back of the perfect grade stripe. There's usually an extra chunk here that's not here, so we're having to wing this a little bit. Now what you'll find is this does move a little bit, and this is the advantage of water slides. You can move them around. Now you can move it around. You can, if you're very careful, nudge it with the tweezers, but you might risk ripping it. So if it's not moving much, get your brush again. Just get some water down, and you can move with your finger if you want. It will move easier over flat surfaces than it will over complex ridged surfaces even. So get it exactly where you want it. Now I'm making this up completely because I don't have instructions as to where to put them. That looks good to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an cotton bud and very gently, I'm not going to rub it, I'm going to roll the cotton bud. I don't know if you see this, but I'm going to roll the cotton bud over the surface, and this will squish out any excess water. And it's going to be hard to get it down there. That's a bit of a pain. But it's going to squish out any excess water and squish it down flat to the surface. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get in there. I may have to just use a cocktail stick for that. Let me get a cocktail stick. So for this I'm just going to get the cocktail stick in there and just push it down gently, just to make sure it's flat and flush. So that is now on. Now you will note there's an edge here and there's a little depression there, and it's not 100% conforming to those surfaces, and you'll also see massive shine off the carrier film. Now don't panic about that too much. Now that's basically, if this was the basic, if you put them on as a basic technique, that's done. That's your water slide is now in place. Leave it for a little while, it'll dry, it'll set, it'll adhere, and then you're done. If you want to get more handy, if you want to get even more advanced, let's say you do have this edge here or a curve or a bend and you want to make sure everything's flat, all you do is you use a decal setting solution. Now if you've done Gunpla for a while, you know about Mr. Mark Softer and Mr. Mark Setter. These are Microsol and Microset. Now Microset is like Mr. Mark Setter, Softer, I think. No, I'm not going to use that. I've found I don't often need to use that. Mr. Microsol is a decal setting agent. What it basically does is it softens the decal slightly and helps it adhere and conform to uneven surfaces. So all I'm going to do is get a small amount on the brush, and I'm just going to brush it over the decal. I'm not going to go all over the piece, because the disadvantage with these products is that if you've done an acrylic gloss varnish, and I'll explain that in a moment, if you've done an acrylic gloss varnish, it can actually eat away at that and give you uneven surfaces. So just focus on the decal itself, coat it in the setting solution, in this case Microsol, or this might be Mr. Mark Setter or similar. Just get that way. Just brush it over and then leave it. Leave it for about 10 minutes, that will dry out, and what you should see is that because it softens the decal, this bit in here should start to fold and conform to that edge, and there's a little bit of the carrier film here on this little pit that's sticking out in midair. That will flatten down. So give that about 5 or 10 minutes, let it dry, then very, very gently with a cocktail stick you can push it in and then add a bit more and it'll soften in again. If it rips, don't worry, just push it in and put some Microsol or Mr. Mark on there, and again it will just all hide the joins. So that is now on. Why else would you want to use a Microsol or Mr. Mark Softer or Setter? I can't remember which is which. I think Microsol is equivalent to Mr. Mark Setter, which is what this is. Microset and Mr. Mark Softer, I think, unless I've got this wrong around. Microsol is one that you'll put on perhaps before you apply it, just to soften it even more and help it adhere. So we're going to leave that to dry. Now, a couple of things we need to discuss. You notice at the start of the video I did say I'd gloss varnish this first. There's a good reason for doing that, and I'll discuss that now. I don't plan things, you know that. You heard me mention about gloss coating everything, and we need to discuss why you would gloss coat. We also need to discuss the white balance on here because it's a bit dark. Let me just adjust that for you. It's made no difference at all. Never mind. Okay, so before you apply any Waterslide decals, it is always advised that you apply a gloss coat. Whatever gloss coat you like, whether it's a rattle can of gloss top coat, whether it's something like I use, Pledge Multi-Surface Wax, or Future or Clear, something like that. As long as it's a glossy acrylic coat, that's fine. It won't react with the paint and it'll give you a nice smooth surface. When you apply Waterslide decals, sometimes what you'll find is you'll get what's called silvering. Now, silvering is where basically when you hold up the decal and look at it, you might see little frosty patches in the clear film. Often it's most noticeable on dark colours if you put a decal over something blue or black or grey or something. Little patches. What silvering basically is, silvering is where air has been trapped underneath the decal. And when it's all dried and set, you've got the surface of the decal here, and then there might be a small depression in the paint surface, and in there was trapped some air. Now all the water's evaporated, that's basically a gap. It's an air bubble, it's a gap under the decal. It could be microscopic, but the film appears frosty because it's not pressed against the surface. You want to try and avoid that because that just makes the clear carrier film dead obvious, and it makes it obvious it's a decal. The idea is you want to make this carrier film as visible as possible. So, putting a gloss coat on gives you a nice, flat, smooth surface. If you matte top coat it first, you're making a surface that's all lumpy bumpy and it's got lots of little pits like an orange peel. It's going to trap air in there, and that's where you're going to get silvering. You want your surface to be as smooth as it possibly can. Again, if it's just bare paint and not top coated at all, again you might get silvering because the paint surface is rough. That's why it's matte and not shiny. So ideally, just apply your top coat first, so you've got a gloss coat on there. Put your decal on. It may be fine just with water. You may need to apply a decal setting solution, whatever you need to do. And then once all your decals are on and dried, give them 24 hours, you would apply one more gloss coat to seal everything in. This will protect your decals from whatever comes next, painting and weathering, and it would also help hide whatever carrier film still remains visible because it's now a glossy surface. And once it's then been matte varnished or anything else over the top, that carrier film will disappear even more. So always make sure you have a glossy surface. Now let's put some more. That's looking pretty good. You can see, I mean, you can still see the carrier film there in the light, but bearing in mind we've only just put it on and it's a glossy surface anyway. Once this has had time to sit and dry, it will become less visible. Another gloss coat on top, that will become less visible again. Once all the weathering's done and this whole thing ends up looking matte, hopefully you won't see the carrier film at all. Now you can still see possibly there's a little bit of carrier film sparkly here because it's not quite flush. And in that corner it's not quite flush. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in very gently with the cocktail stick. I'm going to push that film in. I'm going to push it down in there because it's softer now because of the Microsol. It's softer. And then now I've pushed that in, I'll just take my brush again and I'll put a little bit more Microsol on there, just a touch, just to soften it even more. And then I'll miss and hit that bit. Never mind. And if you're not sure, you can just go over and do the whole decal again. Just helps it all bed down. It basically stretches the decal and then it shrinks back to its original size. And in doing so, it hopefully makes it conform to the surface. Because even a gloss coat has a certain roughness to it. Helps it conform to the surface and it helps any air bubbles get out. Now what you might find when you use this stuff is when you put it on the decal at first, the decal might kind of go and crinkle up and go all wrinkly, and you might be like, oh no, I've ruined the whole decal. Don't. Leave it. Don't touch it. I'm just going to get this excess off. Don't touch it. Don't go near it. It's designed to do that. The decal will scrumple up first as it contracts, stretches, sorry, and then it will flatten out as it dries and go smooth again. So don't panic if it suddenly goes all crinkly and wrinkly. It's supposed to do that. Don't touch it, just leave it, let it dry. And that's it. That's decals. So once you've got all your decals on, like I say, get them all on, give them 24 hours, come back with another gloss coat just to seal them all in, and then you can crack on with your weathering then. So that is basically how to do decals. A beginner's guide. Shall we do one more? Let's do one more. Let's find another one. Where is the decal sheet? Now I know on here there are some of the decals to go on, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. Again, keeping this sheet away from anything wet like the water area. I know on the back skirts we have 2 little red triangles, which I'm going to decide are these ones. So we're going to cut 2 of these out. Now these again, if I look at these are all, are these linked? Yeah, these are all linked together. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut down here like this, you'll see. Cut down here. Being careful not to cut through any, these are white decals here and I can see them, but you're going to make sure you don't cut through those. Cut there. Cut there. Now I've got 2 of these to do, but I can kind of do them both at the same time. Is that going to come off? Yes. So put those 2 on side. So we have our decals. Now, like I was saying before, never trim them when they're wet. Trim them before they get wet, because you'll just screw them up. So we're just going to cut through there like that. And then fail to cut all the way. This one, I'm going to trim off the bottom part here, just because there's this carrier film there, and I may as well trim off what I can. Sometimes it's easier just to go flat with the blade and just cut like that. Okay, so we've got those 2. So I shall dip these in the water. That's the water. It makes that noise. It's Manchester water. It's what water sounds like up north. If you live down south, you'll never have heard that, because you have southern water, which is heavy and doesn't make a noise. Yeah, nobody outside the UK will even get that joke, and I don't think anybody in the UK will get that joke. So we're going to put these on. Now again, I'm going off the perfect grade kit, which kind of looks nothing like this one at all, and they're supposed to kind of go here. Yeah, I've just put that there. On the perfect grade, that goes in a different place, and it's bigger, so I'm going to put mine somewhere else. I'm going to put mine maybe here on these bits. This is me just making stuff up. You know that. You know I'm making stuff up. You kind of have to adapt or die. Quite pleased with that one. It's come out quite nicely. Now, like I said before, if this was a flat surface and there weren't these little edges and recessed areas, you wouldn't need to use the setting solution necessarily. You can do, just to make sure it goes flat and just to get to a minimal chance of silvering as possible. So if you've got some Mark Softer, Mark Setter, or Microsol or Microset, go for it. I don't often there's my words going again. I don't often have to use Microset. The idea of Microset is you put that onto the model piece and then put the decal on, and that just helps the decal bond even better and go even flatter, but I've never really had to use it that much. So let's get these off. I'm going to use both tweezers and see if they move first of all. You can use tweezers to see if decals are moving, you've just got to be super careful. Yep, these are wiggling around, so let's get them off. Oops. There's one. That is the order. Move the water out of the way because that's just going to get embarrassing if I spill it everywhere. Now these are smaller, so again, as I said before, different way of getting these off. Might not be able to use your finger. Try and grab the decal where it's not grabbing the carrier film. And I could use my finger, but I should be safe if I use the tweezers very, very gently. Just to gently push down so it slides off the carrier film. Put one on this side. Come on, there you go. I'm not pushing down on the decal at all there, I'm just very, very gently holding it in place. So let's get these into a place I want them. Let's change the white balance as well. No, white balance wants to stay like that, never mind. Apologies, it's all a bit blue. So I'm going to put that, where shall I put it? I'll put that there. I need to make sure this one matches up. It is a bit haywire because again it's not this kit, although it's the same mobile suit as the Perfect Grade, it's not actually the same. It doesn't look anything like the other one really, so there's a bit of creative nonsense going on. So are they lined up? I'm going to use my tweezers as a way to see. I'll do it. So I'll look at the screen that you're looking at. They look kind of lined up to me. Looks pretty good. So what we'll do is take our cotton buds. Now be very gentle here. If they move, don't worry, but hopefully it won't move. I'll be really gentle. Try not to drag it so it doesn't move around. Push it down. Once it's on and you've pushed most of the water out, you can push down a bit harder. We'll get this bit on here. Again, just very slowly and gently, just to make sure it doesn't slide about. Bed it down. Check and make sure they're still straight and where they should be. It looks pretty good to me. That one doesn't look quite so straight, but that's a good thing because I can show you. If you'd get that wrong, don't worry. Come back with some more water and it becomes free again. And this is the major advantage of water slides over stickers. You have enough time to move these puppies around and get them in the best position. Dry transfers, if you get it in the wrong place, tough. Plus it's sometimes really hard to see through the film that the dry transfers are on. The ones you have to rub down. It's really hard to see where exactly they are because you can't always see through the clear carrier film plastic that they're on. Stickers, once it's on, it's on. There you go, done. End of. Water slides, you can move them around. So, that's now looking... It's still not straight. Do you know? But again, this is a good thing. Because I get to show you, A, that I'm not perfect. And B, how easy it is to make adjustments. It's a bit higher than that one. Do it in shot there. Just nudging it. See how I'm not actually jabbing at the decal either. I'm going to the edge of the carrier film and pushing it from there. Right, that's going to do. As long as it stays there. I'm going to keep it there. Rub that down. Now there is a bit of carrier film over this little notch, so I'll need to put some micro sol on there. Now you could wait for a few minutes for this to dry, or you can just go in and do it now while you've got most of the water out. So let's get this on. Get some solution. Again, just try and keep the solution on the decal. If you get a bit too much on, just wick it off with the brush. Don't cover the whole piece, because this stuff can eat away at the gloss coat. If you've used an acrylic gloss coat, this stuff can actually remove it, and what you'll find then is that when you come to say you're doing a gunk wash, you'll actually have an edge in the gloss coat where the gloss coat's been corroded away. So A, you might see a patch around the decal where it's taken the gloss coat off, and B, when you do a gunk wash, you'll get a noticeable watermark where the gunk collects around the edge. So that is that. That is decals. That's going to do it for this episode. That's all I wanted to show you. If you've never done decals before and you're looking at it and thinking, I don't know, it looks really scary, don't panic. It's not as complicated as you think. Just take your time, take it easy. Don't worry too much about things like setting solutions if it's your first time. Just get used to getting the decal off, trimming it, getting it wet, getting it on the model, moving it around. If you get the decal slightly wrong, just wet it again and move it around. Once it's been dry, once it's been sat on there for like an hour or so, it's probably dry. Just give it overnight to fully stick on and dry. If you ever have a decal that comes off the film in the water and floating around, just try and get the paper back under the decal and get it back on just so you can pick it up. And if it's a really tiny decal and it just wraps itself around your tweezers, just try and get it flat on the surface and flatten it out. If you do rip a decal though, sometimes if a decal, say a decal rips in half like that, don't panic. All you need to do is put the decal on as the kit as normal and just slide the bits together. If you cut through a decal and it's now in two parts, that's fine. Just put them on separately and push them both together so it looks like one decal. You will occasionally just completely ruin a decal. It will. There's been times when I've had a decal on a pair of tweezers and it's disappeared. It's on your finger, it's on your face, it's on the cat. They just disappear sometimes. So don't panic. You will sometimes trash decals completely. There's nothing you can do about that unless you order replacements. Don't worry about it. Just go on to the next one. Even I mess up decals, so don't panic if you mess one up. And don't stress about it. It's actually really easy. It's a lot more flexible than stickers because you can move them around and position them. You can use setting solutions to make them mould into uneven surfaces, which you can't really do with stickers. Once that's been gloss varnished again and matte varnished or weathered over, if you look now, that sank sign, you can still see the carry film a little bit, but it's a lot less obvious. And once that's had other stuff over the top, you probably won't even see that. So that is your guide to Waterslide decals. Don't be nervous. Take it slow. Try on a kit you don't really care about first, just to get the hang of it, and just take your time. It can be a very relaxing way of spending a few hours. If you've got a version car kit, it can be a very relaxing way of spending many hours, like the Unicorn Gundam if you get the Waterslide third-party kit for that. I counted about 180 decals for that, and they were all really small, and I gave it the will to live, and that's back in the box now because I got bored. But yeah, go off and do Waterslide decals. Whatever kit you're making, Waterslide are always the absolute best way to do it. Easier and more practical than dry rubs, far superior to stickers. If you're going to put all the work into painting your kit, don't then waste all that effort by slapping on some stickers that will just show up as stickers. Stickers are for toys, Waterslides are for your models. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you watching this as part of the build series, stay tuned for the next episode where we'll have done all this. I'll have gloss varnished it again and we'll get back on with the chipping. I know, I'm a spoon. Listen, Tony spills things. I've got to have some kind of thing that I do, and that's not planning and getting things wrong. I make these mistakes so you don't have to. That's Tony's line. I keep nicking things off you, Tony, sorry. Right, yes, anyway, enough. Go off and try some Waterslide decals if you've never done them before. If you've just watched this video as a search for how do I do water slides, go off and watch the rest of this series. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got loads of things, I can't even get the words out now. I've got loads of tutorials, how to do all different things. I do mostly Gunpla, but I'm going to start getting back into other kits as well. Yay, some people are cheering. So thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and as always, adios amigos.